Are producers being treated fairly in the music business? No.
The music industry as a whole has always been bad actors. They've never compensated people fairly. Ever. It's always been unfair to the artists and to the producers.
Are artists being treated fairly in the music business? No. Are streaming platforms, distributors, record labels, etc., all about their profits? Absolutely, yes. Have they always been about their profits? Yes. Do I need a haircut? Yes. Are the companies going to change their models to start treating us as the creators more fairly? No, not unless we do something drastic. And so a former major record label executive, formerly of Epic, he had some bad news to share with us. But honestly, I feel like I saw through what he was saying, and maybe this is just me hearing what I wanted to hear, or me imposing my political ideas onto this guy. But I felt like it was a call to action. I mean, we really don't have a choice but to suffer the unfair conditions working within the music business unless we decide to change. So those are our two options: either drastic change or continue just swallowing our pride. Now, you talk to people, you interact with people on the internet all the time, and you talk about the exploitation happening in the music business, and they've watched the NWA film, they've watched the TLC documentary, they've seen Cameron's podcast. You hear about stories of artists running into labels, harassing people, confronting people, badgering people until they're either let out of their deals, or their royalties are released to them, or they're forcing someone to renegotiate a contract. And so you hear these producers talking about, yeah, I would never let anybody play with me like that. If a label plays with me, I'm running up, and they know you're not. Especially not today, because it's not just the label system anymore. It's the streaming system. It's YouTube. It's all of these corporate systems that we as musicians rely on. The vast majority of us rely on in order to get our music distributed to the people, in order to monetize that music, in order to build a fan base and communicate with our fans. So there are a lot of layers to this, and a lot of folks that are controlling these we can't even physically access. So what are our options? That's what I want to talk about. This is a wake-up call to all of us.
How about that? The music industry was never right. It was always, the music industry as a whole has always been bad actors. They've never compensated people fairly. Ever. In the history of the music business. You think things are going to change? Now, the only way it changes is if you stop making music, and you stop giving your rights to these people, and you stop putting your songs on their platforms. There are these technology companies that are owned by the major labels that already exploited you and stole from you. I mean, it's never been right. From the history of the recording music industry, it's always been unfair to the artists, to the songwriters, and to the producers. I mean, perhaps music was an offering to God. Music is to worship. Maybe music isn't to exploit and make money off of. I don't know.
So this looks like a clip from my guy Mauricio Ruiz's Manager's Playbook podcast. Shout out to him. Dope platform. Definitely check out those interviews. It's tough to be fair, just like we talked about earlier in this episode. Like, and I've said it a few different times. If you have 4 people at the table and they say carve the pie up and to what's fair, everybody's going to say I need 40% of this, right? And then obviously that's 160%. So how do you be fair if there's not enough pie, right?
Scale it up to 200 and give them their 40%.
So it's tough. It's really tough to make things fair. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I think the major record labels have definitely exploited talent, but there are a lot of artists that are happy with their situations and that have made a lot of money. So my thing is, it just goes back to education. All these situations are different. How you want to chart your path in the music industry could be totally different than the next person. But whoever you get involved with, just make sure you're educated, make sure things are transparent, and make sure that you're communicating consistently as you're working with each other, so that if at any point anything that you guys agreed upon changes, or you have something else happens in your career and it makes the situation different in your eyes and you got to renegotiate, whatever it is, just communicate consistently and often so that you can try to be on the same page and get close to fair for everybody involved. Like,
see,
that's really all you can do.
So I'm looking at it from a more extreme angle. Yeah, when it comes to songwriter splits, we can all treat each other more fairly. When it comes to signing deals, we can try to get the best situation as possible, given the confines of what's normal and standard in the music business. But what he's saying, I believe, is that everything that's standard, even the fairest of deals, have always been exploitative, have always leaned in the favor of the labels. And it's a foundational problem with the music industry. And the only way to change it is through doing something incredibly extreme and unified. And I understand why he's not using certain words, because if he did, everyone would accuse him of being a communist. Because it sounds to me like he's saying, look, the music business is based on the companies benefiting the most, and it will always be that way unless you guys want a general strike. Do you want a general strike? Do you want to take all your music off platforms like Spotify? Do you want to stop taking these label advances? Do you just want to stop making music for a period of time until you completely crush the recording industry and force them to renegotiate these deals? Because realistically, a lot of people, and you know this, Dame, never stop complaining about the Spotify licensing deals with the labels and how the streaming royalty rates are broken down and how those work and how unfair they are. Okay, cool. What's the solution? Spotify is never going to just say, you know what, we were wrong. The labels are never going to say, you know what, we got a really great situation with Spotify. Let's change it and get less. So how do you stop that? I mean, it would take generations of artists to just all at once say, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to alert our consumers. It's a general strike, effectively.
It's never going to happen. And yeah, it's just never going to happen. You'll never get artists to get on the same page to do anything. So, and that's what the industry is counting on. Like, if people can get upset, you know, you can stop making music if you want to. There'll be a million people lining up to try to get that deal that you just gave up. Like, so that, to me, that's just a non-starter and not worth having the conversation.
Well, what if, let's use our imagination, Dave. What if every unsigned and independent artist pulled their music from all the major platforms all at once? And that includes YouTube, that includes Ticketmaster.
Unsigned? You said independent artists? If independent artists did that?
Yeah, because the major label artists can't do it because their catalogs are owned by the labels. So the labels are forcing them.
And the major labels would jump for joy. The major labels would love that. That means 100% of the Spotify pie, it goes straight to them every single month. Like, I think they want to discourage independent artists from competing, right? They're already stealing money from them by fake streams and, you know, having pretty much, you know, a monopoly over the playlists, or the bigger playlists at least. So I think the major labels would love that. They would love. I mean, obviously they need talent to continue to. I don't know. They don't really develop talent, but they need artists to continue going into their pipeline. So they need some artists. But yeah, I don't think major labels have an issue with that at all. They would make more money. Can you not hear me, Payne?
No, I can't. I'm waiting for silence so that I can try to pretend to know what you just said. I'm sorry that your internet's really bad right now.
Oh, my bad. I just, short version, I just think the major labels would love independent artists to be off the platform.
Do you think that would change anything, though? Because like, ideally, so I'm thinking in terms of best case scenario, let's say all of us just strike for a year. No new music. We're not feeding the machine. obviously we would take a hit because we wouldn't be doing shit. I mean, there are certain artists that exist and have healthy careers without streaming platforms and without YouTube and these kind of bigger current platforms. So they would probably be all right. I think my biggest concern when it comes to any of this, any change in the music industry, is always the consumers. Because I think companies would be rushing to fill that vacuum, right? Like we all stop making beats, we all stop releasing songs on the platform. Someone's going to come along with some kind of, fair technology that's not connected to the majors, that only works on an individual level with artists. And but the fans, where are the fans going? Where are the consumers going to go? That's always the issue. The reason why the consumers go to Spotify is because Spotify has the money and they have the deals with the big labels.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine a scenario where, a platform either emerges or converts to independent only. And that maybe could be kind of cool. I don't know. It's just tough to get it's tough to get not even 5, 2 or 3 artists on board with one plan. Like, so to get millions on board with one plan, I'm too old to even entertain an idea like that. I do not have the patience. Because to me,
I mean, it would have to really be an amazing platform, and there would have to be total buy-in.
Yeah, and that's not happening. There's too many independent artists that are making really good money on Spotify, and you're asking them to sacrifice that for the potential of an alternative platform replacing that in the near term. Like, I got to pay my rent next week. I got kids to feed, and it would be dope. Now, I do think that it would be dope. Like, it's a dope idea, even if the requirement wasn't that all independent artists have to leave and move over, but maybe it is just a streaming platform for independent artists only. I can see a lot of music lovers supporting something like that. Like, I can see that. I think that would be a pretty dope idea. So maybe somebody's listening to this, or maybe somebody's already working on this.
Especially if it were completely exclusive, it would have to exclude because the major labels would come in and start pushing their weight around and saying, well, you're not going to get our catalog until we get the terms that we want. Because that's what happened to Spotify. That's why it's so shitty for the rest of us. But yeah, I think this situation, just this conversation, because I do agree. I think there would be a lot of people who would be willing to pay for their favorite independent artist catalogs and pay a little more with this platform if it were marketed correctly by the artists themselves. It would just take a critical mass of us to do that. Yeah, I think this whole conversation shows us how little control we have in the current system. Yeah. And, streaming takes advantage of us. The labels take advantage of us. The venues take advantage of us. The AI companies are doing the same shit. So if we truly want change, and I don't think a lot of us do, it's going to take a lot. But then apply that to the world at large. Yeah. People are complaining about this, that, and the other, but they can't even boycott the company that starts with a T.